What's your view about the Ranveer situation? Need to hear your take. What advice will you give? Does India really have freedom of speech? Aren't more people more focused on him rather than addressing the already present normalization of vulgarity and other immoral acts? What about the controversy? Can he come back? And so on. I mean, these are just a few representative questions. There have been a lot more. Obviously, everybody wants to know about what I feel about this. So, as you probably all know, many of you must have discovered me through the podcasts I did with Ranveer. I've done about roughly 30 podcasts, I believe. I'm the most frequent guest on the Ranveer show, and I have known Ranveer for several years. I've spent a lot of time with him. I know him quite well. And of all the people who have expressed their opinions as experts on this matter, I am probably the person who knows him the best. And the past week, I have been repeatedly requested to appear on national TV on those 8 p.m., 9 p.m. debates on the big channels. You know which ones, the ones that I usually appear on. And I have refused all these requests. I did not want to add more fuel on the fire. Okay. So I refused that multiple times. And I told myself that I will speak about this after some time has passed, and I'll speak about it at length on this channel, on this show, in front of you all, not on something else, on some other platform. So what's happened? Let's rewind and just revisit what's happened. Last weekend, I think on Sunday, February 9 or something, this a clip started doing the rounds on social media. A clip from a person called Samay Raina. Now, you may not believe it, but I had never heard of Samay Raina before. I had never heard of India's Got Latent before this thing happened. I am not into that sort of stuff. I don't watch these comedy shows and all that. I don't really find it funny. I don't find Indian comedy funny. That's my taste. Okay, that has nothing to do with whether you like it or not. But I had never heard of Samay Raina. So this clip comes out on Sunday. And there is Ranveer, there's Samay Raina, and there are some four other people. There's a lady called Apurva, and there is a guy called Ashish Chanchalani, and there's a Sikh gentleman. And apparently, this show was behind a paywall. So you had to be a paying member of this channel to access the show. So clearly, a paying member of this channel leaked this clip. So in this clip that's leaked, I mean, there's some stuff that the lady says that's terribly crass and objectionable. And then there's the two things that Ranveer says. The first thing he said was he jokingly offered a person 2 crore rupees, and he said, but you have to do this to me, and something very objectionable. And secondly, he did a what if question about a mom dad scenario, and that's what's really caused the controversy. And once this came out, there's been this witch hunt against him, this lynch mob online. He has been absolutely crucified, and he has been thrown under the bus by lots of people who he hosted on his podcast, which is very nice to see. And I saw this on Monday. This came out probably on Sunday, last Sunday, and I probably saw this on Monday. Today is Saturday, right? So this Monday I'm talking about. Now, what's my reaction to what I saw? I was appalled by what I saw. Okay, I'm saying very honestly. Was what Ranveer said horrible? Yes, it was horrible. Was it atrocious? Yes, it was atrocious. What he said, was it disgusting? It was disgusting. Was it unacceptable? Yes, unacceptable. I am extremely disappointed with what he said, and I am extremely sad that he has landed himself in this situation. And when I saw this, I was wondering, how did Ranveer imagine such a scenario with mom and dad in it? About parents. How do you imagine that? At my age, I have never imagined that scenario regarding one's parents, right? So how did he imagine that? And I was really surprised because I know Ranveer quite well. I know he's not a pervert. Ranveer is not a pervert, and he's not a cheap, sleazy person. So how did he imagine this sort of scenario? And then more clips started coming out. One video clip came out from 2015, in which some comedian apparently called Kanan Gill. Apparently, he's a comedian. So it's a clip from 2015 in which Kanan Gill, a comedian, asks this same question to a couple of actors. Okay, and then another clip came out from a YouTube channel called OG Crew, in which a lady called Sam or Sammy Walsh who's an Australian comedian. She asked the same question. And this video is from about late January 25, which is about a couple of weeks before the controversy starts. So it's clear that the question that Ranveer asks, he asked those people, the statements he made, the question, the scenario, mom and dad thing, it was clearly copied, and that was incredibly stupid, right? So Ranveer made three mistakes essentially. The first thing is that he went to Samay Raina's show, which I believe I've come to hear has a reputation for vulgarity. Many people would call it vulgar. So first mistake, he went to Samay Raina's show. Second mistake, he made two horrible jokes. And thirdly, one of those jokes involved parents. Because see, in India, there are taboos. Certain things are taboo. You don't speak about that. First thing, you don't talk about religion. You don't make jokes about religion. Second, you don't make jokes about caste. Third, you don't make jokes about politics. And fourth, you don't make jokes about parents in a way that is disrespectful. You don't do that. Parents are regarded as God in our culture, isn't it? So you don't do these things. These are taboos in India. And Ranveer clearly broke the last taboo. He kind of made a joke that involved parents, and that was disrespectful. And it's really sad that he did not think before saying what he said. Now, here's what I think could have happened. Okay, this is an educated guess. First, he probably was invited to appear on this show, Samay Raina's show. Okay, so once this happens, you do your due diligence. So Ranveer's team must have done their due diligence and looked at Samay Raina, and they would have seen that Samay Raina is a highly respected person because he was recently apparently hosted by Shri Amitabh Bachchan ji, India's most legendary actor. Samay Raina was hosted by Amitabh Bachchan ji. So then the team must have concluded that it should be fine to go on Samay Raina's show for Ranveer despite the vulgarity. And that's why they must have accepted the request to appear on this show. And then, obviously, when you decide that you're going on a show, you need to be prepared. You need to do some homework. So it's a comedy show. It's a vulgar comedy show. So then Ranveer's team would have researched what kind of jokes are appropriate for a show of this quality. So they must have done some research, looked at other funny podcasts or vulgar podcasts or whatever, and they must have dug up these edgy or vulgar jokes, which are already online, like the thing that Kanan Gill and Sam Walsh said. And they must have said that, see, it's already online, it's there for a long time, and even an Indian comedian has made these jokes, so it should be fine. So that's why they must have decided that Ranveer will say these jokes. And they would have advised Ranveer to say these jokes, and probably Ranveer said, okay, green light. And that's why this whole thing happened. That's what I think happened. Okay, it's speculation, but it's an educated guess. Now, I understand why everyone is angry, especially the ones who are considered to be in India's right wing. And I can assure you that the left wing is overjoyed with what's happening right now, the online lynching of Ranveer. See, I understand why this anger is there. Ranveer is seen as a role model for young men. Yeah, he is seen as big brother, bade bhaiya, right? That's what he is called. He's seen as a dharmic person. He does meditation, he does sadhana, all that. And I'm sure that Ranveer has consciously contributed to the creation of this perception. So he is seen as a dharmic person. He is seen as a role model, as a big brother. And then he goes and cracks these horrible jokes. So clearly there's going to be a sense of betrayal. There's going to be a sense of this person is a hypocrite, right? And the Indian audience hates hypocrisy. We are perfectly fine with evil, hateful, anti-national people who are well behaved. We will watch passively as people denigrate our culture and our religion and our gods and our temples on TV debates. We'll watch passively. We'll watch passively as people abuse our nation on TV, on TV debates in the name of free speech. We'll watch passively. We will watch passively as Rohingyas are given free education at our expense, taxpayer expense. And we are perfectly fine while with our world being slowly dismantled and destroyed, as long as it's done properly in a well-behaved, apparently civilized manner. But when a person says stupid things and makes these clearly disgusting jokes, we're gonna crucify him. No forgiveness possible, right? So Ranveer's mistake was that he thought he could compartmentalize different aspects of his life. He thought he could separate his brand image, which comes from his podcast and his vlogs, from his activities as a guest on other podcasts and other shows. And that's a big mistake because you cannot do that as a public figure. You can't. Now, let me reiterate, I dislike vulgarity. I dislike swearing, crass language. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's comedy, this sort of stuff. Okay. And once again, let me reiterate that what Ranveer said was crass. It was horrible. It was atrocious, disgusting, unacceptable, and to me, extremely disappointing. So the question is, what should be done about Ranveer? Is he a disgusting creep who should be crucified? After all, he made this horrible joke about parents. So let me ask you something, my dear viewers. Have you seen Shri Virat Kohli score a century? Yes? Have you seen Shri Rohit Sharma score a century? So you hit the runs, you reach 100. Watch Mr. Kohli's first 20 centuries or so. What is the word or the words that he utters after reaching this great milestone? And what about Mr. Rohit Sharma? What are the words they like to utter in times of emotional turmoil and when you have achieved a milestone? There's two words. There's two words. One is an abuse that involves sisters. The other is an abuse that involves mothers. And these two words that are so common on the cricket field among giants like Kohli and Rohit Sharma, these two words are not jokes. They are downright abuses. So I would like to ask the people who are hyperventilating about Ranveer, where was your outrage when this has been happening commonly? It's commonplace in the cricket field. What happened to your outrage? What happened to your family values? And how many of you, my viewers, use these words all the time? I'm pretty certain many of you do that. You don't even think about what it means. You just go ahead. This, that, right? So who's the hypocrite now? Yeah, sure, Ranveer is portrayed, or maybe he portrays himself as a dharmic person who does meditation and sadhana, and then he goes and cracks bad jokes, terrible, horrible jokes, sure. But aren't we, if we also use such language, aren't we also hypocritical? And we have to understand the context in which all of this happens. There is a long-standing tradition of this sort of thing, of vulgarity all across media. Let's talk about Bollywood, right? Have you heard the song Ang Se Ang Lagana? Bollywood song. It's a song that people play during holy celebrations. What is the double meaning, the double entendre in Ang Se Ang Lagana? It's the act of copulation, isn't it? Such a terrible thing to talk about on this show. But that's what it is. It's the act of sexual intercourse that is Ang Se Ang Lagana. And people dance to this song, this disgusting, vulgar song in Holi. It's normal. Great actors do that, right? What about Choli Ke Piche? What about D.K. Bose? These are great songs. Everybody plays them. Have nice, right? And these are just some examples. And there are many more such third-rate Bollywood songs. And many of these songs are played on high volume on loudspeakers during Navratri celebrations. And nobody bats an eyelid. So who is the hypocrite here? Is Ranveer a hypocrite, or are we all hypocrites that we don't raise our voice against this? What about cheap movies in Bollywood? Kya cool hai hum? Grand masti. Yeah? What about the cheap Bhojpuri songs with their bhabhi jokes? You people don't have a problem with that. What happened to those disgusting, despicable orchestra shows in Bihar, which is the epitome of live vulgarity, right? And then If you have a problem with profanity and vulgarity, there is that online all over the place. The current 47th president of the United States, he has been known to use profanity. Some of the words that Virat Kohli would use, but translated into English, he's been known to use that. Elon Musk swears all the time. He does crass stuff all the time on X. One of the most beloved comedians in India, Russell Peters, he uses profanity all the time. Nobody bats an eyelid. Joe Rogan uses profanity all the time. Hmm? And then there is pornography on Twitter. No issue. We don't have an issue with that, right? And there is actual soft pornography on Instagram done by Indians, done by actual mother-son duos. Yeah, it's there on Instagram. But we have no issue with that. And there is vulgarity and there's nudity on all our OTT platforms. Crass stuff. But we don't have an issue with that. And we have an issue with Ranveer. Who's the hypocrites here? And do you think that vulgarity is something that's come in recently through because of Western intervention in India? Do you think the West has made India vulgar? Do you think that our ancestors who spoke Sanskrit 5,000 years ago, they had no profanity? Do you think so? There is a Russian word. It's called yebat. It's the Russian equivalent of the English F word. Yebat. It's also the same thing in Ukrainian, yebat. Do you know what is the root word of yebat? It is the Sanskrit verb yabhati. What does yabhati mean? I will leave that to you as an exercise, as homework. And let me show you this inscription. Okay, let's do this. Let me show you this inscription from 1314 AD. All right. So I'll just leave it there briefly and remove it. You can pause the video later and watch it if you like. That is a clear example of profanity. 700 years ago, 700 plus years ago in Sanskrit. So we Indians, we hate hypocrisy, but oftentimes we ourselves are hypocrites. A majority of India's population swears, especially youngsters. Everybody routinely uses the words that Kohli and Rohit use that abuse mothers and sisters. We all know this, but we pretend like it doesn't exist, and we are all, we're all holy or something. And the fact is that vulgarity exists in every culture, in every society. A certain percentage of your population is perfectly comfortable with vulgarity. And because of this, there is a demand for vulgar content in entertainment. And where there is a demand, there's going to be people who will cater to that demand. They will serve that demand. And that's why we have vulgarity on OTT platforms. And that's why we have the Samay Raina show or India's Got Latent show. And that's why people like Ranveer stupidly make the mistake of going on the show and then behaving the way they've done. So Samay Raina and his show, which apparently is vulgar. I have not really seen it, but I'm told. So apparently, Samay Raina and his show are simply a symptom of the disease that is prevalent in Indian society, in all societies. And Ranveer's mistake, stupid mistake, is a symptom of this disease. It's not the disease, it's a symptom. Society, a certain section, certain portion of society is rotten. And how do you address this rot? How do we address this rot? This can be addressed only by reforming the education system. It's something I have been advocating forever, and your elected leaders don't care about this. We need an education system that instills the right values and behavioral traits. But we won't have it. The education system will teach none of that. It won't teach you culture, civilization. It'll just teach you nothing. It'll just waste your time. So Ranveer, I know him personally. He's one of the nicest guys. He's by no means a pervert. And if you look at it unemotionally, you will say that he has genuinely advanced the cause of the so-called right wing of India greatly. He has given his platform to many right-wing authors and personalities that nobody on the left would ever have given a platform to. Okay, maybe he did it for views, but so what? So what? And I can also assure that unlike I never take names, do I? I can assure you that unlike the brown coolie or the German shepherd, Ranveer has never done anything to harm the national interest or to hurt the national image. He is not on any deep state payroll. He is not an aspiring Zelensky. He's not an anti-national. The work, whatever work he has done, has only enhanced the national image, mostly. You know. So we in India have this what's called the frog in the well syndrome or the tall poppy syndrome. When somebody starts to do well and do really well for themselves, we want to pull them down. We want to cut them to size. So a lot of people right now are jealous. For a long time, they've been jealous of Ranveer. A lot of people envy him and they resent his success. And those people are right now gleefully celebrating his misfortune. And a lot of people, a lot of creators, a lot of influencers the past week have been milking this controversy for views and subscribers and whatnot. And especially the left wingers are the happiest right now. So what should we do about Ranveer? Should we crucify Ranveer? Should we throw him under the bus? Well, I will not be throwing him under the bus. So let me once again reiterate, in case you have missed it, I do not find crassness funny. I do not enjoy vulgar comedy. And the words that he used on that show, they were horrible. They were crass. They were unacceptable. They're indefensible and extremely disappointing. He made a stupid mistake, a huge mistake, and he's paying for that mistake. But I don't think he deserves to be crucified. He deserves a second chance. Everybody deserves a second chance once in their life. So that's my views on this. Can Ranveer come back? Well, he will have to atone for his mistake. He will have to pay the price for his mistake. He's not a kid. He's grown up now. So when you make a big mistake today, as a grown up, you pay the price for it, unfortunately. And he's going to have to genuinely apologize again, ask for forgiveness, and then I think he can come back. He should come back. What advice do I have for Ranveer? Well, who am I to give advice? But if I were to give advice, first of all, take legal advice. Secondly, fire your advisory team. Fire them all. Apologize once again. Ask for forgiveness genuinely from your heart. And take some time off and reconnect with who you are. Where did you go wrong? And come back with authenticity. Go international. And if the witch hunt continues, leave the country. Work from somewhere else. That's what I would say about this controversy.